put him on his back. Thurston, right foot kick, down the ground, into the in goal almost. Hodgson cuts it off. Hodgson taken by Norton. He took him late. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside. Richards pursued. He pushes Johnson away.
Good evening, everybody. Tuesday, the 29th of July, 2025. You're back for another episode of the Tiger Town podcast with your hosts, Zach and Toby. Zach at this end, Toby at the other, brought to you as always by Best On Ground Digital, bestongrounddigital.com, the digital marketing agency that looks after the little guy. They will not steer you wrong, me wrong, anybody wrong, bestongrounddigital.com. And Toby, we didn't score a try against the Penrith Panthers, and that's pretty shit.
Yeah, that's pretty shit. But before we start on, just want to wish everyone happy International Tiger Day, which is the Tuesday. You'll hear this on a Wednesday, so it was yesterday, but we're talking about it today.
I'm sure the Cincinnati fans would be pretty happy with that.
They're Bengals, they're not Tigers.
Are you an idiot?
Obviously, I'm being... Oh, you're a fucking... Nah. We're already kicking off, are we?
Yep,
we're already kicking off.
All right.
The next podcast is going to be a punch-on between Zach and I.
Yeah, it's going to be remarkably short.
Yeah, because I'll
just
kick
like
you in the
Toby.
dick.
Anyway.
Average.
What did you make of that game against the Penrith?
Boring.
Yeah.
That's the one word. Boring. I thought that we tried to play their game, which is... we don't do that. The one times we started to actually look half decent was when we were playing a little bit off the cuff. But it also, there's factors to that. The territory was atrocious. We had no territory. When we were in their 20, we did actually look quite dangerous at times. But when you're down by 20 points with 20 to go, throw the playbook out the window and just go out and play footy. But they didn't. They kept trying to stick to the game, whatever the game plan was. So, yeah, it was frustrating to watch, annoying to watch. Obviously, my prediction didn't come true of us winning. And another fine example of shithouse refereeing. What about you?
Shithouse refereeing with a giant exhale straight into the microphone. What are you angling at there?
Oh, there was some things that it's another instance of something that we're pinged for. The opposition gets away with in spades. So, perfect example. Tui Tupu got pinged for not rolling the ball. I think 4 out of the next 6 tackles that the Panthers had, not one of the Panthers looked to roll the ball. Not one.
Yeah, I've heard that mentioned a few times this week.
Well, it's true.
It's just yeah, I'm not arguing with it. I'm just saying it's a stupid rule. Like, the nature of it, if they're fair income, they're going to blow 1,000 of them. Like, literally 1,000. Maybe not literally 1,000.
But see, why set us for an example and then not do it to the other team?
The reason I'm not blowing up about that is because that's like our first one. And Paulet does it every week. And this is the point I'm making. It's just a shit rule. And we happen to cop it on the weekend. But I've seen other teams get fucked over. Like the Titans a week before, mate. I think they had 2 against us. Those were huge calls in the momentum of that game. Because it was 2 average teams. And maybe it was 2 or maybe it was the 1. But regardless, they were big swings, and I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure it was 2.
So what? Because of that, we cop the brunt end of this one, do we?
Now, I know the show started off hostile, but I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying it's a shit.
No. We're punching on next week. This is happening now.
You're nowhere, mate. You are absolutely nowhere.
You're nothing.
Who are you? You're no one. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is that it's just a woeful rule. Like, by virtue of the fact that you can't tell anyway. And as long as they make an effort, I don't have a problem necessarily with them doing it. It's just that there are so many play the balls in the game and so many that are on that discretionary border that if they're to police it at all properly, they're going to blow trillions of them, or they're going to let trillions of them go. So, like, in a lot of ways, you can't do it in this day and age, because this day and age, the NRL, like rugby league, NRL is rugby league. The rugby league in a professional level is entirely a momentum game. And if you don't have an ability, and we've spoken about this before, if you don't have an ability to manually change momentum, then you're at the behest of the referees. And like, one of the big reasons why we bemoan it all the time, other than the fact that we're sick of being down the bottom, and every wrong call has so much extra weight because it takes us away from one victory here or there, is based upon that. But the other side of the coin with it, though, is that in terms of momentum, is the Tigers haven't had game breakers since James Tedesco, and then it was James Tedesco and James Tedesco. And it was throw the ball to James Tedesco and hope that James Tedesco could do James Tedesco things. And he did, and he single-handedly kept us like out of the bottom four for several years in a row, basically by himself, because he could swing momentum. But the game, even since he was with the Tigers, has gone so much further. Again, like tangential to what you're talking about, but my big issue with it is that issue. It's the momentum issue. It's that everything around football now is based on momentum. And shit rules and shit calls make a difference because they are artificial manipulations of the natural attrition of the game and how momentum can be organically wrestled back off a certain team or whatnot. Like, when you talk about going toe-to-toe with the team, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about not yielding momentum to that team, or at least staying in the fight long enough means not being overrun by momentum by the opposite team. It's like a tug-of-war, like you're holding them off for that period of time. But if you have refereeing decisions and, more importantly, bad rules that you can only sporadically pick on people at random moments in the game, like, it's ridiculous. It's not preconceived. It's not premeditated. Like, elements of it might be, sorry, but the result isn't premeditated. The effort to change the game at the 31st minute or whatever it is not premeditated. But like, you can't argue that rule and others like it and decisions like that have these monumental swings in games. I'm not saying that did on the weekend, but woeful.
The thing that frustrates me more is, up until 3 weeks ago, we were talking about where's this roll the ball rule being, because they cracked down on it like last year, and then it just sort of went out the window. Why bring it back now? Why? Like, things were flowing well. It seems like a rule that it's just for the sake of it, really. I remember hearing Bill Harrigan, I think it was on the Channel 9 podcast, the one that Andrew Johns kind of hosts. And he was talking about how ensuring that the roll the ball is performed correctly gives the oppositions, or allows the attacking player or the attacking team to gain that extra half a second on their defensive line, which can limit the amount of head knocks and concussion, because you don't have people shooting out of line trying to, murder someone. But I'm like, not really. Like, that's the only justification of trying to do it, because obviously the NRL's looking really hard at limiting head knocks and concussions and all this jazz. Also, you play a contact sport, deal with it.
Were they saying, sorry, were you talking about the roll balls having an impact on that?
Yeah.
What a crock of fucking shit.
Because
it's the exact opposite.
If you stand
the defensive
up,
line are less set, which means that the defensive line are in a worse position to provide counter force to the running attacking player. All you do is you just allow players to steamroll their way through. So if anything, eliminating the roll ball, which is objectively a good thing because it slows teams the fuck down from cheating, playing tunnel ball, eliminating it will reintroduce that if that's their angle, because defensive lines will have an extra half second because the play the ball will be half a second slower to the point that you're making. So the defensive lines will have an extra half second to get set, to plant their feet, to put the hit on, to miss and cause concussion. I think that's...
Yeah, well, that's what he said.
That's a long bow to draw. But back to the original thing very briefly. I'm not talking about refs this game. I know you are, and fair enough. There was probably behoove.
In all honesty, I actually think Goff had a decent game.
Yeah, I agree. It probably behooves us to mention though that they scored a try off like woeful forward pass, like meters out of the hand forward,
right in front of the touchy.
Right in front of the touchy. Like I didn't even. I kind of looked away from the screen for a moment or two, or did something because I was like, that was forward, and like look back at my phone or something or whatever. I can't remember exactly what I was doing, but then like sort of snapped myself back into attention as he was running under the post. I was like, hang on, fuck, that was forward. They won't be able to rule on that. Like I just didn't process at the time because I'd assumed it was that obvious that they were going to pull it up, and they never did. No. And then there was the Isaac Tungo thing. I mean,
oh my god,
fucking stop it! Like it's a joke. So the person that scored that try, that was Edwards on the stroke of half time, which is a big game. It's a big psychological thing going into half time. Shouldn't have been scored. They shouldn't have allowed it, but it shouldn't have been scored. Tigers been.
No.
And then there's the Tungo one at the end of the game, which didn't mean as much at that point, but that's two tries that the opposition didn't get legitimately. I know that 24-2 is not much better, but Penrith were pretty fucking good on the weekend, and we'll get into that in a sec. And 24-2, it is better. It is better against a strong Penrith side. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, no. Look, the refs. Goff. Yeah, I agree. I think Goff is pretty good. He played no role in the result.
No.
How did you rate our performance? When you were talking boring, were you referring to our performance particularly, or?
Yeah. I think predominantly our attack. And again, like I said at the start, there's reasons for that. Lack of territory, lack of momentum, lack of go forward. But I'm getting extremely sick and tired of the fourth tackle option of Taruva. Obviously, that's not going to happen this week, but the fourth tackle option of Taruva taking the hit up. I'm getting really sick and tired of that because it is so predictable. So to me, it looked like it was just predictability after predictability after predictability. We weren't asking questions at all. And the questions potentially...
I think we spoke about that last week.
Yeah, and the questions like we might have been asking, we didn't have the final answer, as is typically our I guess our style. So, like, I just would and again, he's not completely in charge of the attack. We got Hodgson there as well, but I just thought with Hodgson and Marshall there as the attacking coach and the head coach, our attack would be a lot more fluid. Our attack would be a lot more exciting, so to speak. We would have people running the lines that we need them to line. And I think we've got a couple of very big ins that's going to help that this week. I know we all talk about, we'll talk about the game later, but, Buller's in, that's obviously a big in. But the big one for me is Sam being named. The little things he does off the ball as well, but his lines he runs, he's got that sort of sixth sense with Latu. It was just boring.
Yeah.
Lacked imagination.
It's crap. We've been talking about it all year, I seem like, which is he's got this conservative first 20 where he just wants the team to stick in the game and try and win late. There's nothing wrong with that game plan. But it's not. It's cookie cutter, and it doesn't. Think about game plans. Not that I need to educate people or anyone. This is not me saying from up here on wherever, but I'm saying that you can't just copy and paste a generic game every single week. That's the way they play. The week on the weekend, we actually, to their credit, saw some early shifts in that first 20, which yielded results. And they stopped doing it. Like, they were making zero meters effectively through the centre playing direct. And then they'd throw a third or fourth tackle swing. They'd get 15, 17 meters out of that. And then they get to the 40, which was an okay set for a kick. There's a problem, but that game plan it's shithouse, it's predictable, and it hasn't been adapted at all. It's not adapted horses for courses, or it doesn't appear to be. I'm not going to comment on whether or not game plans are adapted. I'm going to assume they fucking well better be. But it doesn't appear to be. It appears that they're rolling out the same game plan, and it's almost like he's trying to prove a point at the behest of the season. Like, cutting off his nose to Spidey, he being Benji, cutting off his nose to Spidey's face around proving, we're trying to get the players to prove that they can hang in games, and then only then can we earn the right to play football. Like, those cliches have probably got nothing to do with the game plan, but that's what I'm seeing when I'm watching it. If I'm watching a game of football and over a series of weeks, a series of rounds, and I'm trying to determine, okay, what do I think this team is doing? And I'm seeing that they're approaching the football game in very, very similar ways, week after week, time after time. That shows really poor adaptation. And it shows like, it's another cliche when you sit there and go, we're just worrying about us this week. We don't worry about the opposition. We're just going to make sure that we do our roles. That's fucking stupid. Because if you're coming up against Penrith, or if you're coming up against Bulldogs this week, both are two teams that have been going, well, Penrith is definitely in the hunt now, but Bulldogs have been all year as well. Both two top teams. You don't approach it the same way. You approach it entirely different. They're two entirely different football teams with different strengths, weaknesses, chinks in their armour, different ways that you go about. Certain teams, you front load energy. Certain teams, you try to come back at them late. Like, I don't care if you've got a crux of a core of a playing style. I'll tell you what, if it's this conservative bullshit in the first 25 minutes of football games, fuck that out the window right now, because that's not going to be a West Tiger side that I fucking support, not with the side of the players that you've got in there. It doesn't play to our strengths. And
well, like, perfect example of you saying that things, when you're playing these type of teams, you can't just go with the run of the mill that we have been doing. Perfect example of, if we had played like we did there against Penrith against the Titans, we would beat the Titans by 30. Yeah. You said that in the chat.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it would have worked for that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work against a team that is known for grinding
Saturday afternoon. As we were watching the game.
You said it in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
we would have. It was a high completion rate. We played all right in the first 20 minutes, and we were unlucky. We didn't take the odd chance or whatnot. And then the errors started to come in, and we just had nothing else. There was no next gear. There was no plan B. But disappointingly, no one stepped out of the mould and played footy when we needed to. That's what fucking pissed me off. Because Jerome Luai's been around long enough, and this is not a rag on him, but I'm just saying as an example. He's been around long enough. Api Coruscant has been around long enough. These guys have played international level football. These guys are state of origin players, premiership winners. And the captains of the club, if they don't have enough nous within them to recognise in the game, we're well and truly behind. Nothing is working here. I need to switch gears. I need to turn this side on. Like, my concern on the weekend was, are these guys paradoxically, are they being overcoached? Or are they being shoehorned into a coaching style and they are almost fearful to step outside of it? Now, that doesn't mean fearful of Benji, but they're almost sticking to this game plan too closely, which is costing them the opportunities within games, as good game plans are, to provide scope for players to play eyes-up football as well. Like, the best laid game plans of mice and men often go awry. You're never going to game plan your way through every football game. It's the reason that Penrith, who I think are a game plan football side, as in they rely on a very strict game plan and they execute on the 1%ers to that game plan. If they didn't have the ability for Nathan Cleary to take control in the grand final against the Broncos and play out of structure and just try to win it on his own back, they get pumped by the Broncos in that grand final. They're not 4-time premiers. At best, they're 3-time premiers, and you don't know what the following year happens off the back of that anyway. You don't know if they can do it last year. Like, even the best Melbourne sides over the years have relied on some off-the-cuff thing from Cameron Munster to get them over the line. for Pappy to just push through on a break, on an off flick pass in the 79th minute to get those couple of extra wins that gets them into second position or that gets them through a prelim or wherever it might be. Like, you've got to have that balance. And I look at the side that we had on the weekend, and I know it's going to be better again this week. And I didn't, in the pod last week, I didn't expect to win last week. But there's got to be more done. At least, again, I got to make sure I'm phrasing it correctly. I would like to, as a fan and a punter and someone who is a stakeholder in this club of sorts, I would like to see the output show that we have the capacity to move outside of game plan or outside of rigid structures when we need to, because the whole point of bringing in Jerome Luai and Latu Fa'inu and Api Coruscant and Taylor May and these types of players is so that you can give them opportunities to break out of structure and do something awesome and win us football games. Like, if you're not giving them the chances to do those things, then it becomes a bit of a problem. The big reason that I think, there's a couple of reasons, and I won't go on a monologue again, but just quickly about that conservative game plan.
Again, you're still monologuing.
I know, as in...
I'm loving every second of it, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes people like to hear you speak briefly.
No, they don't.
Is that game plan works if you've got a side that does the 1%ers, like basic shit, like line speed, ball runners receiving the ball at the advantage line, like kick pressure, competing on kicks, passes out in front, operating at speed. Like, there's just shit we don't have. We don't have any of it. And if we have it a moment in time in one game 3 weeks ago. Penrith did everything on the weekend 10% better, and that 10% didn't result in a 10% difference in the score at the end of the game. It compounded. They were 10% more intense. They were 10% better line speed. Their kick chase was 10% better. I'm being generous to us, to be honest with you. Their ability to compete on kicks was 10% better. They were receiving the ball 10% closer to the advantage line. I'm being really generous there. Their speed and chase out of marker to get across to ball carriers to cut down options was 10% better. And what it does is it compounds and compounds and compounds to the point where we reach a threshold where we actually can't break through, because their defense in all effort areas across the board, defense and attack, but their defense is 10% better. We can't actually break through to get a try. We're going to rely on an intercept or a bit of luck or some fluky flick pass to get a try. And we couldn't. But all the extra little things that they did on the weekend in that well-executed game plan meant that they broke through our threshold, and then they just could pile them on. 3, 4, 5, 6 tries, and there we are. You know, Benji can recruit, and Benji can get the dressing room showing up for him. They've actually started to build a squad now, but Latu and Luai's running games have disappeared completely. Latu, young fella, but everybody knows, probably one of if not the best football I've ever seen as a junior. To parrot Phil Gould said. Love him. But what exactly is the Dewey experiment achieved? He was in there for moments, but he wasn't even used correctly at moments, and the structure around it was weird. And then they took Latu off later in the game. We've got wingers shifting sides. Skelton was shifted last week to the other side. There's poor predictable selections. There's no competing on high kicks. Even we're in the opposition half. We're at the 30 or the 40. Jerome puts up a kick that lands 10, 15 out. No one's even in the drop zone. And it's not once, it's half a dozen times over the course of the game.
I don't even think we competed for one bomb.
I know, that's what I'm saying. And someone might sit there and go, we don't have Jerome to jump. Who cares? Who cares? Anyone go and jump for the football. Go and compete for the football. That is such a ridiculous cop-out. And Adam Dewey used to take catches at 5'8" and centre in on the near post on, those short cross-field chip bombs. Yeah. He did that for fun at one stage there. There was a couple of players around the league doing it. Jaden Sewell was one. Nanai did it for fun as well. Dewey was doing it. Dewey can catch a football. Send Dewey through to chase on those kicks. He's playing in the centre of the field. What I don't understand, mate, is it seems like all those things that I just listed are so basic and fundamental. When I coach the kids, these 11, 12-year-olds, grade 5s, grade 6s, whatever it might be, this is basic stuff that they learn when they're learning the game of rugby league. Like, I teach brand new kids who have never played rugby league before on the line to take 3-4 steps off as the ball is played. They don't even know how to tackle yet. Like, I don't know. I think that, yeah, there's a lot to be said around that, and we don't know the depths of these game plans and everything with it. But all we can judge on output is output. No good for the first 25 minutes. But to your point, like, where's the plan B? Where is the going after the game? Who's taking it on? I don't know.
No. And, like, I think the thing that's becoming frustrating for me, and this isn't me bagging Benji or anything like that. Like, I still think Benji can take us places. I still really do believe that. But what's becoming more and more frustrating every single week is how often I hear him say, and that's things I need to learn as a coach. I'm like, I get it saying it once or twice. I get it. But if you're saying that 6-7 weeks in a row, what are you actually doing?
This is nearly the end of his
Are you
second.
watching tape?
He's nearly been 2 seasons as a head coach.
Yeah. So is he watching tape? What is he doing? Like, and this isn't. And again, like you said, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know what's happening, and you know, it is. I'm probably repeating what a dozen people have said, but Benji is a great recruiter and a great man manager. Great man manager. But that only gets you so far. So what is happening behind the scenes? Like, who's he getting advice from? Is he taking the advice? Is he... Because there is definitely times where he looks out of his depth. And he was renowned as a player for knowing what Plan D was. Because Plan D hadn't even been thought about yet. He just tried it. See what happens. Why does he feel the need to go down this conservative route consistently when it's not working?
Sounds weird. I think in retrospect, he has been the right coach up until this point. And I'm not saying that we should get rid of him at the moment at all. In fact, I don't think that. I think he's actually been the right coach because the biggest challenge for the Tigers 2-3 years ago, as a follow-on from the last X number, is the squad. It was nothing but the squad. It
was recruiting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was overturning the squad and managing to recruit and get new players in of a quality that we haven't been able to produce or assign. Benji, and you'll probably go through a list that you mentioned before the show in a little bit, but I would argue that Benji has recruited the best out of any club, any West Tigers coach in history since the club was formed and merged in the 90s. Like, I challenge anybody. I would challenge anybody to tell me a coach that has recruited better. And I mean, inclusive of the major recruits that he's brought. You know, like certain coaches over the past have brought a good player here or there. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And we're not talking about growing up within us either. So we're not talking about the Teddies. We're not talking about the Farahs. We're not talking about
external
the Benjis.
Recruitment. Yeah.
We're talking purely on recruitment.
Benji Marshall has broken the no one wants to sign at the Tigers curse.
Yeah.
Like, how long was that hanging over us? Like, Madge wore that the whole time he was there. Even like,
how often were we like, we've just missed out on this person. We've just missed out on this person. You know, Latrell Mitchell. That's all I've got in my head right now, but I'm sure there were others.
Oh, mate, there were thousands. And that was the first hurdle. I'd say he's solved it. Because with the likes of Taylor May arriving, Hamasi on the scene soonish, and Kai Pearce-Paul coming, it's not a world-beating squad. But that squad, starting in 2026, at least as it is now, like I'm assuming we'll see more hopeful improvements, even if it's just depth. That squad can easily, if coached correctly and performing well, make the finals. I'm not saying that's a premiership threat. I'm not saying it's not. But I'm saying that squad that we've currently got locked up to enter next year, in my opinion, has the capacity to easily be a final side. Benji Marshall, as the head coach, has overseen that transition. So in a lot of ways, he's got to be given credit for solving the recruitment issue. But it can't be understated the fact that he is the recruitment at the moment. He's lucky that he's got a good negotiator in Richo, but people aren't coming to play under or play at a club that Richo happens to work in the head office of. They're coming to play under Benji Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of ducats in the back pocket doesn't hurt, but we always offered the money. That's the big difference.
Well, I mean, I read something just before, and someone was like, let's not get things twisted. Luai came for the money, not for play under Benji. I'm like, pretty certain Luai was offered more to go to the Bulldogs. He didn't. He went and played for us, who weren't on the rise like the Bulldogs were. What was the main thing there? Benji.
Yeah.
Benji. And that's what I'm saying. Like, he is a great man manager. He's a great recruiter. But there's things that he lacks, and his support staff's not giving it to him. They're not supporting him the way that his deficiencies. They're not supporting him in his deficiencies. And in deficiencies in terms of plan Bs, plan Cs, plan Ds, whatever. Game plans that are tailored to the team that they're playing, things like that.
Mm.
It's
that sort of stuff that annoys me too. Like my only hope is that behind the scenes, and I'm assuming this is not what's happening, but my only hope is that Richo has said to him basically that it's a free swing, play around with the combinations, get it right, because come the start of next year, the clock is ticking and we're going to need to see some wins out of you, mate, because the squad has been built underneath. We'll continue to keep improving it. You've got the back end of this year, tweak, play around with what you want. If you want to try AD at lock, give him a go. If you want to give Latu a rest, if you want to play Skelton at centre, if you want to get Hamasi a run, this is your chance to fiddle around a little bit, because it's what it seems like to me. In the hope that we put all our eggs in the start of that basket. But if not, then it's a ticket to nowhere, because this side will not be moving anywhere if they continue to play the way that they're playing. Full stop, bottom line, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. You can put Sam Weller and Buller back into that team. They're good for a try or two here or there and a bit of individual brilliance. Buller and Sam Weller don't change the result against Penrith on the weekend. If we play the same way, if we don't challenge the likes of a Penrith, then we don't beat them. And to me, it's simply not acceptable to say that side has no capacity to beat that Penrith side yesterday with Buller there.
No, everyone can beat anyone.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Some teams turn up better than others.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. I mean, for God's sakes, the Titans beat the Warriors in New Zealand. Fucking Warriors.
Yeah, I know. What a joke. Like, the Warriors against us were perfect. Like, perfect. Same when we played the Broncos at Suncorp, and then Parramatta get them on the weekend, and they were just dropping balls left, right, and centre, balls going out the sideline. Incredible. Anyway. Yeah, the big test is going to be the actual coaching now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the squad is not complete, but the squad is good enough now. Starting next year, we'll focus on 26 onwards. The squad is good enough, mate. So we're now going to find out if you can coach or not. And I'm with you. I'm still in Benji's. I'm still in Camp Benji, because I think the technicalities around it can be improved. That can be brought in. What you can't do is tear 3/4 of the roots up that took you 3 years to build, and have, a handful of the recruits that took you forever to finally get through the door walk out because of their allegiances to ABC. I'm not saying that necessarily does happen, but you're a fool to pretend as if someone who is so well liked and such a draw card as a coach being punted won't have an adverse effect on that playing group.
And see, that's something there too. Like, I feel like there's some truth to the talk about Benji just really loving being part of the boys. He needs to separate himself from that. Because, yes, you want someone to build that rapport. You want someone, even, Wayne Bennett, great man manager, great player manager. But he still found a way when he was in his prime to separate being, a good bloke to his team to getting the best out of them. And I feel like, and again, this is me not knowing anything that's going on behind the scenes, not knowing any of that, rah. But it feels like Benji just wants to be their buddy more than their coach at times. And I say that at times because if we remember, if you the press conference against the Titans and then media's after that, apparently the spray he gave the team was next level. And that's kind of like I feel like there needs to be more of that. Not so much spraying, but not sitting there going, oh yeah, you look, this Appy, he's our leader, or Romy, he's one of the best. Or, sit there and call their bullshit out on them. Appy wasn't good enough. Needed to have a better game. Romy didn't take the line on enough.
That's style, though, dude. Like, if you were coaching, and you might coach when you're older, or you might coach in the future.
I've already got grace. I don't want more.
I'm not saying NRL, you peanut. You might coach your daughter's under 12s mixed rugby league side. I'm just saying.
I thought you said NRL. I feel like I'd be a pretty good NRL coach, but yeah.
Shut up. Anyway, as I was trying to say,
and have some
look, styles are styles, and I actually don't subscribe to any cookie cutter leadership style. That's why I think that Adam O'Brien's and the Michael Maguires of the world are on the hiding to nothing because they're just trying to be Craig Bellamy. You can't. There's one Craig Bellamy. It's the same with Wayne Bennett. There's one Wayne Bennett. Don't try to emulate Wayne Bennett. I respect your opinion, and I know there's a lot of people that hold the same opinion. I respect that too, and you may well be right. I don't have any qualms about that whatsoever, at all. And I'm not saying I don't have qualms about him being one of the boys. I'm saying I don't believe it's happening. Like I work in a workforce where I am both colleagues and supervisor to people younger, older, and all manner of whatever. And what I know from what I've done bits and pieces over the years around that is I had the best results with all the people that I worked in and around or with or whatever, with literally just being myself in those positions. And the moment I tried to sort of change and be something arbitrary or try to be ABC or try to approach things from a particular angle for a particular purpose, it didn't always go to shit, but it was inorganic and it didn't feel authentic. And oftentimes those situations would yield mixed results. Whereas I think that Benji is approaching it brilliantly. And that's like the jump in at training thing. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm not saying I give two shits about...
I'm not arguing with you here. I'm arguing with the people who are making these arguments. And I know that that's not the argument you're making. The thing is, and the irony in it is that if we were winning, if we'd won an extra, what would you say, 4 more football games? No one's talking about it. No one. No one's talking about Benji that much, really. Oh, they're all right. They're about mid-range. They've had a pretty good year from coming where they come from. That's probably about it. It's the difference between 3 or 4 football games at this point in the year. But the people who then sit there and talk about how the way that he interacts or relationships with certain players or whatever, to me, that's his prerogative. And if he gets results, no one cares. And if he's not getting results, people look at that and go, ooh, is that the reason? Well, it might be one small component of something, but unless people can draw a direct line to why, not saying you, but him running around on the training paddock and demonstrating plays leads to us losing to Penrith by 6 tries, draw that line, imaginary straw man. It's just dumb because it's overinflating what I think are tiny variables and just it's distraction. It doesn't matter. That shit to me doesn't matter. But that's personal opinion.
No, and I get that. And I get that completely. But again, what I'm saying is For me, I feel that there needs to be a clear separation between the two in terms of being the man manager, being the coach. Because if there's not a clear separation between the two, sometimes people just feel like, oh, and it can work in the opposite way too. When we beat the Roosters, Latu came out and said that was for Benji. We did that for Benji. So they play for him, and we know that they play for him. But if you're not playing to your standards, and I'm talking about our Luais, I'm talking about our Appies, because we know that they're this year, I truly believe that they have not played to their standards.
Luai's been better than Appy.
Wide variety of reasons. Huh?
Luai's been better than Appy this year.
No, yeah. Luai is probably not as much Luai, but Luai's come into a new system. At times, it looks like the world's on his shoulders. It's he's not playing as freely as he has.
I'm also just stating that Appy's copping no blowback. He's been worse than Luai, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Especially
he has.
recently.
He hasn't been to his standards. Yeah. And what I'm saying is, if that's the case, and again, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. These conversations could be happening, and we don't know them. But from the outsider looking in and from everything we're seeing, it seems that these players that need to be performing are not getting dragged along the coals when they should be. Appy, you don't need to take the world on. We're not like you used to, but you still need to perform. Luai, play to your strengths. Stop taking shit on. Stop trying to solve every situation on the field. Dewey, just fucking play football sometimes. Seyfarth, get the fuck out of the way. It's like these things. There are times when, yes, they're your leadership group and you look to them, but they need to be dragged over the coals too. And it just, from an outsider looking in, there looks like there's just kid gloves at times. So that's what I'm saying.
What makes you think that his leaders aren't being held to account?
It just doesn't look that way from an outsider's looking in. I mean,
yeah, but what? So what?
Well, if they were being held to account, they would be dropped. If they kept performing the way they have, they would be improving.
Have they been bad enough to be dropped, though? There's nuance in it, right?
But here's the thing too, and let's go back to the Roosters game. No. Let me finish my point first. Let's go back to the game against the Roosters when Luai was out and Dewey and Latu played in the halves. Tell me I'm wrong, but that was Latu's best game that we have seen him play in first grade by far. Dewey played that role that needed to be played, but he took on the role. He took on the line. He did what he needed to do. So why, when we've got Luai, who we know he's a full-time premiership winner, he's a state of origin. He pretty much won a state of origin on his own, based on game 3. Why is somebody not being held to that standard? Why wouldn't they sit there and look at that and say, "Well, this is how we played. Why can't that happen as well?" It just feels like it's not happening.
Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is, you're saying it feels like that's not happening, and I'm saying, well, how do you know that that's not happening?
I don't know. That's why I said the word feel.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know that's not happening.
No, you don't know, but you suspect. You suspect. Why are you suspecting it's not happening?
Because nothing's improving from their games. Nothing's improving the way they're playing.
As a side, or you mean those couple of players in particular?
Those individuals.
Over what period of time are we talking?
Take Luai out of that equation. I'll focus on Appy in this perspective. You're
talking about Appy. So Appy's been out of form for a few weeks.
Appy's been out of form for a few weeks, and if you get dragged across the coals, as a leader, you lead from the front. I haven't seen that at all. So what they're saying is, oh, you know what? Let's see what else works around you. Let's let's not be dragged into coals.
I thought Appy was better than he was against the Titans.
I don't. I
didn't think it was great, but I thought it was better. I think he had
poor service out of dummy half again. I think he didn't take his opportunities when they were given. I don't.
Yeah, he seems distracted. The other assumption there, though, in the whole thing is that you're assuming that you get the best you get change out of people by dragging them over the coals, and that certainly is true for some people. And
By that, holding
even
them accountable.
yeah,
Everyone's
okay,
going to be
look,
held. Everyone's going to be held to an account. Everyone, if you're getting paid
that's where
1.2
I'm getting
million,
at. That's what I'm getting at. What I'm trying to say is my assumption. See, my assumption is that side is pretty good at holding themselves to account. All the messaging we get out of that is that that's what the side is based upon. We're not seeing the output, but sometimes there's always a multitude of variables. If it was that easy, the Titans would have come in. Bad example because they won. We would have come in off the game against the Titans. Benji would have said, "Listen
I'm
here,
right and you're wrong."
you listen here, you pack of useless shitheads. I'm going to hold you all accountable. You're all woeful. Spray, spray, spray. And then by default, we come out and pump the Panthers. It's not the way it works. It's not just as simple as holding people accountable improves performance. Like, I understand what you're saying. I don't disagree. Like, accountability is huge. What I'm saying is that I don't see the evidence that shows, one, that they're not being held to account, and two, that if they are being held, even if they are, what we're seeing on the field is not indicative of whether they are or not in and of itself anyway. That's my point. I understand what you're saying, but from my perspective, I'm not seeing any issues about being held to account. What I'm seeing is players that, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to keep banging on about Appy and Luai, to be honest, because our problems are not Appy and Luai either.
They're not, and that's
we
not.
spoke
And
about the
again,
refs for 10 minutes, and we've spoken about our two captains for 15, and it's good. The
But I
problems
reiterate, and I said
elsewhere.
this at the start. There is a myriad of other factors playing a part. But what I'm saying is, and again, let's use your word because you clearly said that when I say feel, I needed evidence. So I suspect, based on everything I've seen from an outsider looking in, and again, that is a third person point of view. I have no idea what's happening. It looks like there is the way the senior leadership is treated seems to be a little bit lighter than it should be.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So it's the reverse John Bateman critique.
Yeah. Well, yeah, essentially.
Because last year it was that he was kissing the boots of the juniors, and now this year they're not. He's not holding the seniors to account.
Here's the thing too. Like,
can't win, Benji.
No. Well,
maybe he just needs to put.
You're in the head coach. If you're a CEO of a company, it all lands on your head anyway. If you're a coach, it lands on your head. So you can win in some things, but it comes down to wins and losses.
You get what I'm saying with the tongue-in-cheek way of presenting those opposite critiques.
Oh yeah, I know what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that's how it looks like to me, and it's becoming, 9 times out of 10 I talk out of my ass anyway. But
are you fiddling with something over there?
Yeah, nothing. I'm not going to finish that sentence because we are on a podcast.
Forget where you are. Yeah,
I didn't say anything.
All
right, we better keep moving on because we've gone for 48 minutes and we haven't really done a lift and sink or anything.
That's right. We haven't had one of these explore pods for a while where we just explore the tangents rather than turning around, doing a U-turn and going back to normal conversation. Yeah, look, we'll blow through the lift and sink. We've still got to get through your pathways roundup shortly too. But
happy birthday to Macassini too, guys. Wish that boy an 18th
turned
birthday
18 on the weekend, and I'm thrilled to see that we didn't rush him into the setup, which
no. For this game,
past performance is not indicative of future performance, but you wouldn't have been surprised, would you?
No, not at all.
So, what was I going to say? Yeah, look, that Penrith game, mate. I might have mentioned it last week, that if we try to get into the grind with them and we go toe to toe with them, they'll just chew us up and spit us out because they do everything in that way better than
Yeah.
us. So we did it. We fell for it. We tried to go toe-to-toe with them. You don't do that, in my opinion.
No.
You don't play to an opposition's strengths. You try to highlight their weaknesses. And that's what they did to us. They picked apart our team really well. To be honest, the Gold Coast did it. Like the Gold Coast targeted Staines and Skelton on things that they were, and I don't rate Des, but on things that they were deficient in. That's something we don't do. Like on the weekend against Penrith, you could have looked at the McLean defensive decision issue. You could have looked at the strengths of Taylor May up against Tungo and knowing that Tungo is a good defender but can have lapses. Do we target them? You could have targeted To'o, knowing that he's carrying a hamstring and put a lot of high balls his way. We don't. We without going back, we ran generic shapes and we didn't look at these targeted little nuanced areas. So pretty disappointing. It's a shame because had I turned the game off after 20, 25 minutes, I actually read something somewhere today that the first 25 minutes of both halves, it was like 2-0 to us. So points fell on in the back half of these games. It's another lesson for me as well in talking about things like possession, where we have 45% of possession. But talking about things like high completion rates and high tackle rates. It's irresponsible to say they don't matter. Of course they matter. But
they're just a small piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. You know, if we go back to playing that boring football, we play predictable football, we get swallowed up. It doesn't matter if you're 100%.
Well, we're going to get swallowed up if we do that against the Bulldogs. Absolutely. Best defensive team in the comp, basically.
And line speed and all those things that match up poorly against us. Anyway, any other comments you want to make on that game? Who was good for you?
Who was good for me? Look, I can't go past, and I'm probably going to steal yours as well, and it's an easy one, is Tito. Tito tried his absolute heart out. 266 running meters. You know, he tried so hard, tried to take the team on his back. And I think he's shorter than me, so that's hard.
He is nearly the best carrier of the football out of the back of the field in the league at the moment.
Easy.
Dylan Edwards is up there. Dylan Edwards is really, really good. People don't give Dylan
Edwards
enough.
Ran for 320 meters, but
holy shit!
Yeah, but 60 of those was illegal because he got a forward pass.
Still, he's unreal. To'o is To'o, but mate, I was thinking actually, I was going for a drive this evening briefly, and I was thinking about Tito, and I thought I'd re-sign him now. I keep him a Tiger forever. He is phenomenal. Phenomenal. You could play him at prop, mate, and he'd make over 200 meters.
Hey, easy.
He is such a good, high quality, consistent player that you get so much out of.
That's the big thing there. Like, there are times when he has a poor read here and there in defense, but that's more because of the center's poor read initially, or the one inside him. But consistency is him. That is consistency. I don't think he's played a game. You know, we'll you think about Team A as well. Terrell May, because there's two Team A's now. Terrell May as well. You know, I don't think he's played a game where he's not ran for over 130 meters. I don't think Tito's not ran for over 120 either. He's just consistent.
Yeah, he's great, mate.
But he is having a bit of a dry spell in terms of tries. He started off as a cracker.
Remember, he's been at fullback since Jareem's been out, and he's been playing a different role in that regard. And Stafford has been playing injured, and he hasn't been outside Stafford, and he hasn't been getting as much ball because Star's been getting the ball in weird positions. So, speaking of Benji's random mid-game switches, playing Stafford at second receiver on a fullback swing. Anyway, yeah, Tito was unreal, mate. Yeah, good. Like, he's such a quality player. Like, Terrell May is a really, really outstanding role-playing prop, I think, of established. Like, he's the quintessential workhorse prop that you stick in. You know what you're going to get out of him. You know you're going to get meters. You know you're going to get high tackle completion through the centre of the field, and then you're going to get offloads late, and someone who doesn't mind ball playing. High quality prop. But Tito, mate, like as a winger, in the things that the modern day winger needs, he is just unbelievable. Like, such an impressive player. Outside of that, like there was some good performance. I didn't like.
I think
Tui
Sione was good.
Yeah.
Sione was good.
Tui Tupo was okay. Other than the thing that happened, obviously, I thought he was okay. Like we've already gone through a bunch of sinks, really, and then spoken about a few people and whatnot.
I haven't gone my sink yet.
Well, you go, because I got two, so you go.
Yeah, I'm saying Pole. Pole's been woeful the last few weeks.
He's one of my two. Yeah, like defensively, he's been trash.
He's been
like it's shit, mate. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, for a bloke that's played well over 50 first grade games now, almost maybe even close to 100.
Nah, he's not that high,
isn't he?
I'll have a look. What's your estimate? I'm gonna say he's played
63.
You're How the hell
Were
did
you
you
say
do that?
63?
I was going to say either 63 or 61, yeah. But it's
Jesus
nowhere near
Christ.
100.
72.
He has played 72. There you go. Yeah. That's pretty high, because Fanua's 22. He's 23. Apologies. He just turned 23. Start of the year is outstanding. I think this is... we see these trajectories of props oftentimes where they're promising early but hyper erratic. And they'll come through and they'll then have good patches of seasons, but they don't put a whole good season together. And then the better ones get to 24, 25, 26, and they will link full quality seasons together. I think he's on that trajectory, but he's still young enough, definitely, to be on that trajectory. It's just disappointing, because at the start of the year, he and May were absolutely huge.
Oh, my God.
And
we were sitting there
we were arguing that best prop rotations, like in the comp.
Yeah.
I think that was verbatim what we were saying, like in the top three.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the stats were showing it. They were pumping out like 170, 180 each per game, and they were impactful quality minutes. The middle was holding up. So, I hate using the phrase Groundhog Day, because I feel like everybody uses the phrase Groundhog Day, which in and of itself feels Groundhog Day-ish. But it's like, I just worry that we're nearly in August, and the West Tigers sides of the most recent, like, memorable past seasons are always on a downhill slide to the bottom of the barrel at this time of year. And I look at some of the form of some of these players who have been up earlier in the season, and I just think, come on, man, not again.
Yep.
Jack Bird was mine. I'm off Jack Bird, and I've said this a few weeks ago. I don't have a problem with his output. I have a problem with his 1%ers. Jack Bird to me, and I've started watching him off the ball. It's not that he never does the 1% off the ball stuff. It's that far too often, for my liking, for a player of his caliber and experience, he will jog when he should run. Like, on that forward pass try they scored just before halftime, he was neck and neck. Was it Liam Martin that scored? It was Dylan Edwards. Dylan Edwards. I think
Dylan Edwards scored just before halftime.
Yeah, I think it was that try. I might be wrong. He was neck and neck or in front of Dylan Edwards, who was there on the chase. Now, I know that he is not the same pace, but he had the capacity to stay with Edwards and block that pass on the inside. The distance was enough. They were close enough together where that could easily happen. He kicks back a gear. Dylan Edwards goes up a gear, and all of a sudden, he's 2-3 body lengths behind Edwards. The pass goes to Edwards, and he goes and scores under the sticks. Had he been Samuela on that side, I bet my bottom dollar Samuela would have chased, just in the off chance that maybe he gets in a situation where he can do something to prevent a try. That was that moment there, and if anybody wants to challenge me on it, go back and watch the footage of that try and watch Jack Bird on the inside, off the ball. If it was one incident, it happens. I'm seeing it every single week in too many incidences for my liking, and I'm off it, man, because as far as I'm concerned, Jack Bird isn't putting a tremendous amount of output in a lot of areas. One area I want him to put output in is all the effort areas to, if nothing else, show the junior players what it takes to be a seasoned NRL player, a state of origin player, a premiership winning player, sort of shit that Luai does. Like, how many tries has Luai saved this year? I know he hasn't been brilliant, but he's been there batting a ball away or getting a hand under a football in a held up or whatever it might be many, many times this year. Jack Bird, no. So I'm not seeing the value that he's offering at the moment, to be honest with you, and I need more out of him.
Well, he's not playing this week, so can't get that.
Is it Bird? So it was Bird that was dropped, is he? No, he's on the bench.
He's not dropped. He's not playing.
Is he?
He's not on the Pine, and he's not in the starting side.
Right.
Or
well, I
in
was
the
wondering.
reserves.
Okay, there you go. I was wondering who the person was that missed out, but I've been pretty preoccupied this afternoon, so I didn't really follow it up. So it's Bird is out.
Yep.
Okay, there you go, mate. We might have a quick look at your beautiful little segment if you're ready to rock and roll, and then we'll jump into previewing this doggies game, because our expression "long in the tooth" is arriving quick and fast. So on that note, mate, is it time?
It's time.
Must be time.
Oh, you should get that too.
No, we shouldn't. Toby's Weekly Pathways Roundup.
You are a muppet.
New choreography this week. Over to you, champion.
So we'll start off with the men because there was no Jersey flag this week. There was a bye round for everyone. But we ended up downing the Bears in the very lovely Jason Taylor Cup, which was funny, 24-22. But we were actually up 18-0 at halftime and almost lost it. So that's...
Who cares? 2 points to 2 points. Woo, we won.
That's concerning. But that leaves us at 9th on the ladder now, which is awesome.
Making a run.
We come up against the Raiders this week out at Lincoln, who are 8th. So we win that. I think we move into the 8th, if I remember correctly. Yep, we win that. We move into the 8th, which start of the year we didn't actually think was possible.
They've come from the absolute clouds, haven't they?
Yeah. As mentioned, there was no juniors on this week, so move on to the ladies, who I think it's their 4th loss in a row now. So Brett Kamuli, you are a great coach, clearly. Went down to the Sharks 20-16, but definitely have a try-scoring machine on our hands in young Caitlin Turnbull. So I think she's now scored 9 tries in 4 games. So
yeah, going well.
Yeah.
I heard Kezi had another stormer of a game too.
I think Kezi ran for over 170 metres.
Yeah, she's carrying that side at the moment.
Absolutely.
Christian Pio had a bit of a knee injury or something. I heard late in the game. I didn't get a chance to watch it. But...
I take that back. She didn't run for 170. She ran for 207.
All right, so you're a liar.
I'm a liar, yeah.
207 for a second row, yeah, not bad.
If only bloody Pole's is it his fiance? Is that Jade Fanua? Is that his fiance?
Nah.
No? Oh, she topped the tackle count.
Aren't they both dating a Hormono? Oh, well, no. Buller married Alia.
Yeah, he married Alia.
I don't know. I'm not going to get into this. What are we doing? What is this? Like the Australian Housewives of the West Tigers or something? What? Married at First Concord?
Anyway. So that wraps up. At least we got one victory this week. So well done to the Reggies. Yeah, and like I said, we come up against the Raiders this week for a chance to climb to the top 8.
Yeah, which would be good. And they really have come back in a lot of ways. And credit that goes in a lot of areas, I'm sure, but not least of all to Richardson, who promised that he would be bringing players in to improve New South Wales Cup because a strong New South Wales Cup yields a stronger first grade side.
That's what he said.
And we're seeing it like in live time. He was able, I'll say he, from an arm's length, he was able to transform that side in a lot of ways. And look, it's good. Good. It's good to see reserve grade winning some football games. I'd rather be there than where Souths are at the moment. Like, how deplorable across their 3 grades. I think, aren't they last? But that being said, been there, done that. So I don't have much interest in going back. Still with us, mate? Are you? Ducking in and out a bit there, mate. Not sure whether it is you or me, but regardless, hopefully you pop back in a second. We haven't been talking at the same time altogether, but I dare say that would be the case. In the meantime, we might have a look to this week, and I'll jump ahead and look at what our lineups look like once I can find it. Okay, where are we? How professional, the boys at Tiger Town, eh?
Yeah. Riverside, do yourself justice. It just crashed on me.
Ah, you're all back. Good. I kept talking the whole time, so it's going to be, I don't know, who are you talking to?
For anyone that was not on camera, the platform we used just crashed on me. But the recording kept happening, and I jumped back on. So
okay, good. Well, hopefully it continues. I was just about to go through the side on the weekend.
All right.
So a couple of big ins, a little bit to talk about. We won't bend your ear for too much longer. We promise, but a little bit longer. Buller returns at fullback. A huge in. Taruva back on a wing with Skelton. May and Toa are the centres and remain the same. Luai is the captain at 5'8". Latu is the halfback. Terrell, May, and 12 other starting props. Coruscant is the other captain and the hooker. Samuela Fainu, another big in at second row. Alex Seyfarth stays on the other edge for some reason. Adam Dwayne is the lock. Sione Fainu. Royce Hunt returns to the interchange bench at 15. Fanua Bole and Tony Suka rounds out in 17. There is no utility and no hooker. Appy will be playing 80 minutes. Tristan Hope, Brent Naden, Charlie Murray, Heath Mason, Luke Lealali'i are the extended bench. Mate, absolutely huge. I said to you last week that I suspected that they were going to stack up for the Bulldogs side.
Mm-hmm.
And it appears to me that they've been looking to try to peak against the Bulldogs side because colour me silly, but it's probably as close to a full-strength side as we can probably aim to name as far as the squad this year goes. What do you think?
I can't think of anyone else I would add, if I'm honest. So
that's probably the strongest bench we've fielded all year. You know, Suka we've been kind of impressed with Suka, but, you know, Royce Hunt's been back to form in a lot of ways in reserve grade, been playing bigger minutes, up to 40-odd minutes on the weekend, I think, and been quite impactful and quality, to be honest. He's been down there for, 4 to 6 weeks or something, so it hasn't been a one-week thing. So if we can get Royce Hunt back to his best, he's then partnered with Sione Fainu and Fanua Bole on the bench. I'll tell you what, that we've been talking about punch off the bench or punch through the middle. On paper, looks like it, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Mate, Samuela and Bole. Not Samuela and Bole. Buller, sorry. Who are you more excited to see? Do we need to compete on who you're more excited to see? Or should we just express the fact that it's amazing that they're both back?
I don't think we need to compete. I think they both add their own value to it. And I do think we're going to see a much improved side for a myriad of reasons. But I think we've missed a fair bit of those 1%ers that Sam brings. And then obviously we miss that creativity and that deception that Buller brings as well. So,
and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, and listeners, correct us if I'm wrong here. Is this the first time our now future first choice spine has started together?
Yeah.
That's insane, and that never gets talked about in terms of how we're travelling and how we're travelling on our trajectory. So, interesting. Samuel is huge on that edge, mate. Definitely interesting matchups. Like it's funny. I look at the Bulldogs side, and that back line on paper is like, pretty good. Like Crichton's awesome, but Garage is pretty good, hard to handle, and there's always he's got spiders on him. Sherry's all right. I don't know much about Rinakama. I know that he's a good, young, skinny leaper. Anari Tuala is a bit of a journeyman. He's pretty solid. But, goodness me, that side has been playing really, really well. I know they are more than the sum of their backline parts, but I'm just looking at the first five on first five. Much like last week, it looks like we match up well, but I think that might be the trap because this is another system-based football team. And if last week showed us anything, if we play like we played last week, I don't know that we particularly match up with system-based football teams.
Nope.
As you look down that list, you tell me that we don't match up relatively well man for man across the park. Like Terrell May and Max King.
Yeah, I think there's definitely at times where I think we outplay them in certain positions as well. So it's coming down to how well we're drilled, really.
Is it the first time we get to see our left edge, our complete left edge as well?
Yeah, Sam, May, Skelton.
And Luai.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, again, on paper. At the moment, I think because these combinations are arriving, we can only judge on paper. And unfortunately, obviously, the games aren't played on paper. I said last week that we matched up relatively well man on man with Penrith. And again, system blew us away. We just couldn't go with them from a tactical standpoint, an effort standpoint, an application standpoint. But again, paradoxically, and that's probably the trap, we look like we match up relatively well there. They're strong through their edge and their second rowers, like big threats. And it's no coincidence. I heard somebody mention during the week that the teams that are winning a lot of football games at the moment are teams that have rapid, hard, mongrelly, painful to play against, game-breaking style second rowers. You got Hudson Young down at Canberra. You've got Halasima out of the Warriors. Bulldogs have got two in Preston and Kikau. The Panthers have got Liam Martin, Scott Sorensen when he's playing. Garner's been playing bloody well. I wouldn't put him in that same category, but and Melbourne have Eli Katoa.
Yeah. And Sean Bloor.
Sam Weller is, Bloor, but different type again, like more of that workhorse. But definitely quality, definitely solid. You take him back in a heartbeat. Sam Weller might become that one day, but he's and we love him. I don't put him in that category yet, but he's definitely the best. He's definitely the best edge in our club, that's for sure.
Yep.
How do you see the game going, mate?
It's definitely going to be a better game than last week. I actually think we're going to score a try. But unfortunately, I just don't think we're going to beat them. I think they're for me the just the X factor of Kikau is just it's so big. So I think we're going to get, he's going to take advantage because I think he stacks up on Seyfarth's side, and we know that Seyfarth's first contact is poor at best. So I think he's going to take advantage of that.
Terrible matchup.
So I think he's going to take advantage of that, get a couple of offloads in, and that's where I think our big weakness is going to be. I think it's going to be something along the lines of 26-10. So
I think we've walked into like a back-to-back ambush in like the two best system football sides at the moment. I reckon Melbourne's dropped out of that, and the Bulldogs and Penrith, the rejuvenated Penrith are it. I worry that if we take our chances, we can go with them. I don't necessarily worry about that. I don't worry about them systemically breaking us down necessarily in attack from a systemic point of view. But some years, some teams just have a knack of passes sticking, and the Bulldogs are having one of those years. But it comes from application, it comes from effort. Like, they don't leave anything on the field. And if we don't match intensity with them, the same shit will happen last week. They will just dictate terms and territory, and we will just be turned around, dropped pants to our ankles, and done away with. Like, that's what happened last week. Penrith just put us into the position they wanted us and just kept us there, and we couldn't move. So I'm hoping that that's what the inclusions of Royce Hunt in the side this week are going to do, to introduce game breakers throughout the game. But it's got to come from within too. Like, we've got to play. I think we have to play expansive football to get them. I think for us to win this football game, it has to be high scoring. So we have to score points. We're not going to win 16-12 against the Bulldogs, in my opinion. If it's a dour contest, like against Penrith for the most part, I know we beat them in a low one last year or the year before, whatever it was. But yeah, we've got to go after the football game. The bottom line, we have to go to the game to go after the football game. We have to go to this game to beat the Bulldogs 40-zip, not go to hopefully hang tough with them. If we do that, we're going to get fucking spanked.
Yeah.
What's your projection, mate? Or prediction?
Told you. 26-10.
Score. You did. Bold prediction, sorry.
It's a hard one because I don't know. I reckon, you know what? I reckon that, like I said, we're going to get exposed on that left edge, mainly just because of Seyfarth. But I think this is going to be a game that both Latu and Luai play to their strengths, and we see what they're capable of as a halves pairing. There's final passes might not stick for whatever reason, but they will look a lot more fluid than it's game 3 for them, but
yeah,
we'll start to see what they can do together.
Yeah. Okay. I was really, like, I've for weeks said that we'll win 5 of our last 7. The weekend just last 2 weekends in a lot of ways. It's not that it shook my faith, but I didn't see any evidence to support that prediction. And this was the game I said we'd lose. I said we'd upset. I don't have the feeling that we're going to do that. But I'll stick with it. I'll say it's going to be high scoring. I'll say that we'll get the jump on them. And the way that we will give ourselves a chance is by getting the jump and getting up early. I reckon we'll go up something like 16-0 early and just happen to catch them. And then we'll just be hanging on for dear life. We'll win 32-28.
I want you to be right.
No, and I don't think, like, realistically, I don't actually think that we're going to match up particularly well at all. I think it's a bad football side to be doing well at this point of the year for us to come up against as yet another acid test. If we came up against a different type of side, we match up a bit better. Ironically, maybe a Warriors again, but over here. But yeah, they're too well drilled. They're too intense. We don't handle intensity in well-drilled sides well. That's my opinion. I don't think we did it well on the weekend. That's my scoreline, and I'm going to roll that into a bold prediction all in one. That we'll get out to a hot start and pull off a massive upset that will rattle the cages of all of our heartstrings late. That is the Tigers' way, of course.
Yep.
Mate, anything else you want to mention on that game?
No.
All right. On that note, then, might jump into the PSAs. You can catch us as always on all your favourite platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Apple, and Spotify. All West Tigers media is good media in our eyes. The West Tigers podcast, the West Tigers Life podcast, the West Tigers Faithful podcast. Get on over and support them on all the platforms. Same ones as I mentioned before. The Ambush on Facebook, westtigersforum.com. Thanks to our sponsor, Best on Ground Digital, bestonggrounddigital.com, the digital marketing agency that looks after the little guy. They will not steer you wrong, bestonggrounddigital.com. Apparently, they're getting absolutely smashed at the moment.
Apparently.
Bully for them. And outside of that, mate, there's not a lot more to say. We play the Dogs on Sunday afternoon at Combank Stadium. If you're in the local area, 2 p.m, get out and support them. Give them hell. Give the Dogs hell. Let's hopefully stick up a fight. I would love an upset. Fuck Lachlan Galvin and go the mighty West Tigers.
Up the Tigers.